Hello again, everyone. Edwin Moore back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about Mercury in the fourth house in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the Mercury placements in the houses. They were a little bit concise, and some people may have referred to them as snappy. So what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, well, first thing up, Mercury, excuse me, Mercury in the fourth house is comparable to Mercury in the zodiac sign Cancer, but naturally you got to blend in the zodiac sign with that. If you have, say, Mercury in Virgo in the fourth house, may be much different than Mercury in Pisces in the fourth house, as an example. Now, the thing about this is, naturally having this placement, the person may communicate in an emotional manner. I had a friend of mine that had Mercury and Virgo in the fourth house, though Mercury, of course, in Virgo is very analytical, it's in its dignity, but he definitely took on a more emotional flavoring being in the fourth house. Now, Mercury in astrology is connected with communication. So this placement can indicate that the communication may be very nostalgic. um, the person may often talk about their home, their family, may talk with home and family members frequently. Um, person may often talk about traditions, um, talk with people they're simply close to home with. Also, about foundations, traditions, their roots, ancestry, and also the less dominant parent, which is often the mother, and where the person wants to be at that latter part of life. Now, another thing about this is Mercury is associated. Excuse me, again, people. Mercury is also associated with assimilating information. So Mercury in the fourth house, may often, become, more emotional when gathering information. May often assimilate information pertaining to roots, ancestry, traditions. It could also be about establishing foundations. The person may often try to look up information pertaining to the less dominant parent, which is often the mother, people they're close to home with. It could be home and family members in general. And also, as far as, the fourth house is connected with the latter part of life. So it may be where this person often will look up information to see, how they can benefit at that point in time in their life. And during that latter part of life, the person may be continuing to gather information, whether it's through the internet or what have you, more so than the average person. I understand we're always going to be doing that regardless of astrological placements, but it may be more emphasized with people that have this placement as opposed to the average person. Now, Mercury is also connected with analysis. So this person may often be, analyzing who they believe they are at the core, and I would say that could be especially true if the Mercury sign is in the same sign as what's on the cusp of the fourth house. Sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't. Let's say, for example, if somebody has, you know, they may have, Leo on the fourth house cusp as an example. Now that they may have, Mercury in Leo or Mercury in Virgo in the fourth house. But at the same time, they may still often try to, analyze, who the person, who he or she is at the core, and also, where, going back, to the latter part of life, this is where a person may often analyze those matters as where, in home and family members in general, people they're close to home with, as well. Um, things that are, connected again with one's ancestry, roots, traditions, and the foundations that one may want to establish or, set for his or herself. So anyway, well, Mercury is also connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. So these are people that, that may often be involved more in the person's home life, may figure more prominently in the person's home life than the average person. They may play more of an integral role in the person's latter part of life as well. And also matters connected, with foundations, with traditions, as well. And really, they may have more of an understanding, of who you are at the core more so than most siblings, cousins, and neighbors. You may allow them to get to know, that part of you that you may not, readily show to others because, the fourth house is about, what we may express, when nobody's around. So anyway, well, another thing about Mercury is that it is associated with short journeys, local transportation. So when you have Mercury positive in the fourth house, this could be where short journeys often involve home and family members, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. It may be more trips, to get food, more so than most people. I understand that, people constantly are going to the store to buy food because it's a necessity, but it may be more emphasized with this person, people that have this placement more so than the average person. And also, short journeys may frequently involve people they're close to home with as well. And again, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. And this is, somebody too where, there may be more mobility in the home, just kind of running around. That person I told you about before, that had, and someone I knew had Mercury and Virgo in the fourth house in their natal chart, his natal chart. Well, I think he was in and out of his home, coming in, coming out very frequently from what I can remember. So another thing about Mercury in astrology is that it's associated with driving and vehicles. So when you have Mercury positive in the fourth house, those vehicles may often be nostalgic. It's maybe like, memorabilia to you. They may be, it might be, you might drive a vehicle that's traditional in the family, that, the same kind of car that, say your father or mother had as an example, or, could be, cars, vehicles in general, maybe things that you're close to home with. You may often drive to places that are nostalgic as well. And driving, this is something where, people, home and family members may figure more prominently in this. You may often, it could be a person that might even collect cars because the fourth house is the house of nostalgia, and it's about, where you might have, number of cars at your particular home, and whether it's you're working on them, whether you own them, they may figure more prominently in your home more so than the average person. Now, Mercury is also associated with our early education. So during the early education, you may have been more emotional and sensitive to things more so than the average person. You may have expressed your traditions a lot. It could have been to where, some people may have schooled themselves at home more so than the average person during this time. They may have, the mother, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother, people that he or she was close to home with, may have figured more prominently during this time of the person's life as well. And this might be something that might be tied in early education, may be tied into one's foundations as well. Now, Mercury is also associated with rational thinking. So this is where the rational thinking may sometimes be clouded, by the emotions, by sensitivity to matters. It may, it may be more impacted by your home and family life more so than the average person, the connection, with the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. These are things that might really affect the rational thinking more so, than the average person, and also the people that you're close to home with. The connection with those people may play more of a role in your ability to think rationally, but positively. This is a person that might often, be able to think more rationally when they're in their home as opposed to other, places in their life. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Leonard, Send Stereo.